Please stay standing. Try to catch him before you sack. A toast to the most glorious flag to ever fly over land, sea, air, and through the vastness of space. Here's to the red of it. There's not a thread of it, no nor a shred of it, in all the spread of it from foot to head. But heroes bled for it, face, steel, and lead for it, precious blood shed for it, bathing in red. Here's to the white of it, thrilled by the sight of it, who knows the right of it, but feels the might of it through day and night. Womanhood cared for it, made manhood dare for it, purity's prayer for it, keeps it so white. Here's to the blue of it, beauteous view of it, heavenly hue of it, star-spangled dew of it, constant and true. Diadems bleed for it, state stands supreme for it, liberty's beam for it, brightens blue. Here's to the whole of it, the star, strength, and pole of it, the body and soul of it. Oh, in the roll of it, sun shining through, hearts in accord for it, swear by the sword for it, thanking the Lord for it, red, white, and blue.
Please take a seat. Ah, Mr. Adams. How lovely to see you.
Just here to take a
I'm sure you are. Yes, exactly. 15. That's what Mr. Knox told me.
That is what I'm correcting.
Perfect. Excellent. Lawyers, they want to be correct about everything. Greetings, everybody. My name is Jonathan Lane. I'm Executive Director of Revolution 250, and I welcome you here to Framingham. I wish I could have been here 250 years ago to welcome Henry Knox. Sometimes it feels like I was here 250 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. My only purpose really here, aside from welcoming you to this event, is to remark on just what it took to achieve independence 250 years ago. You can declare independence all you like, but securing independence was the work of many years and a tremendous collaborative effort between our sister colonies here in North America and our friends beyond the seas. And this 250th commemoration, likewise, is a collaborative effort of many. And we would not be here today without the work of so many. I'm just going to name a few. I know others are going to continue the thanks, but in my role with Revolution 250, let me say that the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, MA 250, could not have done this event without you, your support. All of the Knox events, we appreciate you being here again today. We should also recognize our good friends at Conventures who keep our feet to the fire and the train on the tracks, and any other metaphor you want to use. Couldn't do it without such a great team. Throughout the 250th, particularly the Knox Trail, the national parks have played a tremendous role in all this. Our friends in the Sons of the American Revolution, the Society of Cincinnati, the Daughters of the American Revolution, these are people who lift up this history, even on years that don't end in zero. And it's day in, it's day out. And I think if you took a look, many, if not most of us in this room have some sort of connection to the American Revolution. So I encourage you to check out the great work that they do, the scholarships that they offer, the museums that they put together, the amazing libraries that they have. It really is the cornerstone of what we do every time we do a commemoration. I just want to leave with a couple of notes. First of all, we are raffling off a custom Patriots jersey today. So go Pats. I know Henry Knox is going to bring them luck. wait until the Seahawks see our artillery out on the field, and we'll be good to go. So if you don't have a ticket, there's no cost to the ticket. Tickets are free. Just make sure you get downstairs and get a ticket before, we get halfway through the program, because that's when we're going to bring stuff upstairs. And at this point, I would like to bring up Henry Knox. I'm on it, Dusty. I got it. I'd like to bring up Henry Knox. So Henry Knox is carrying with him a linstock. A linstock is a traditional piece of equipment that artillery uses to fire the cannons. In this particular case, it's got two matches that come out, and these are actual match cords. You set them on fire, and they burn very, very slowly. And that's what you use to set off a cannon in 1775, 76. This one is festooned with all of the ribbons for all the communities that we have traveled through thus far. New York only did counties because, underachievers, right? So, no, Saratoga 250 and the New York, they've been wonderful partners and friends. But anyway, we are going to have Henry hand this off to a senior leader here in the room. Mr. Knox, who was that?
That would be Representative Danielle Gregg.
She will keep that safe. This linstock is going to pass through the hands of every community that's here today. Plus, it'll make its way eventually to Evacuation Day, March 17th. If it's not on your calendar, take the day off. It's an important day. It's the day Massachusetts secured its independence by driving the British out of Boston. But she'll make sure it passes through the hands of everybody and join us for future events as well. It is now my distinct honor and pleasure to call up a partner here, our local partner with the Framingham History Center, Anna Tucker.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. All I can say is wow. Wow, this is an extraordinary event. It's an honor to be here with you today. And welcome to Framingham and the Framingham History Center. The Framingham History Center recognizes that where we stand today is part of the ancestral homelands of the Nipmuc, the freshwater people. We likewise acknowledge and honor the traditions of all indigenous peoples of this land, including the Nipmuc, Pennacook, Pecumtuck, Mohican, Massachusetts, Nauset, and Wampanoag. Now, before I begin, I have to say, it must be the spirit of Henry Knox who brought the snow and the cold, if nothing else, to give us as most historically accurate an experience as possible today. So I have to say thank you to all of you up here and in the overflow room downstairs who were brave enough to brave the weather and gather here today. In particular, I want to thank all of our incredible community leaders, including Mayor Charlie Szycki, whom you'll hear from in just a few moments, as well as our state representatives, Jack Lewis, Priscilla Souza, Kate Donahue, and Danielle Gregoire. Thank you also to our wonderful city councilors who are here either literally or figuratively, including George King, Janet Liam Bruno, Christine Long, Brandon Ward, Mary Kate Feeney, Noval Alexander, Phil Ottaviani, Leora Malik, John Stefanini, Tracy Bryant, and the very appropriately named Michael Cannon. Thank you also to the many representatives from our extraordinary neighboring historical societies and museums, including Wayland, Marlborough, Southborough, Natick, Sudbury, the Massachusetts Historical Society, and so many who are here in the crowd today. I also want to thank our partners across the city, including DPW, city facilities, the office of the mayor, and the police department for making sure that this could run smoothly and safely. And finally, my deepest thanks to the extraordinary planning teams at Revolution 250, led by Jonathan Lane, as well as MA 250, the Metro West Visitors Bureau, Living History Co., Conventures, and our very own staff, volunteers, and board members at the Framingham History Center. It is an honor to keep history alive with you today. So as we can see today, looking at this gathering, history, when remembered, is not frozen in time, pun intended. It continues to nourish us if we take the time to listen, which is what we're doing today. There are many lessons we can draw from Knox's noble train in Framingham, and I will not give the full lecture because we have a great program ahead of us. But a few things jump out to me today. What makes this story so memorable is this: the role that the Framingham community played. Local residents provided supplies, rest, hiding spots, safety, security, and support to exhausted Teamsters and soldiers who had no guarantee that their efforts here today would succeed. But what makes this story powerful is that it wasn't just Framingham. It was every community along the way who came together to make something nearly impossible possible. And after these few weeks of deep snow and collective shoveling fatigue, many of us have gained a renewed appreciation for what hundreds and thousands of people endured when they responded yes to a call for help. So today, let us remember the power of coming together when things get hard, and the importance of actively investing in hope, even when success feels uncertain. And now it is my honor to welcome Mayor Charles Szycki of Framingham.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mayor Charlie Szycki, and it's a great honor and my pleasure to welcome all of you here. We're so excited that the committee picked Framingham as one of the only 4 stops along the way to celebrate the 250th anniversary of Henry Knox, and appreciate thinking of Framingham and allowing us to participate. I am very pleased to have a proclamation from the city of Framingham recognizing the 250th anniversary of Henry Knox's noble train of artillery, and with your permission, I'd like to read it. Whereas in the winter of 1775-1776, amidst the stalemate of the siege of Boston, Colonel Henry Knox, a Boston bookseller turned artillery officer, proposed a daring plan to retrieve captured British cannons from Fort Ticonderoga in New York and transport them some 300 miles to aid General George Washington's Continental Army. And whereas, displaying extraordinary ingenuity and perseverance, Henry Knox led a noble train of artillery consisting of 59 cannons and mortars, utilizing sleds pulled by teams of oxen and horses to navigate the treacherous winter terrain, frozen rivers, and the Berkshire Mountains. And whereas this historic expedition passed directly through the town of Framingham in January of 1776, where residents witnessed the procession of heavy weaponry and provided aid to the weary Teamsters, cementing our community's place along the historic Knox Trail. And whereas the successful delivery of these armaments allowed General Washington to fortify Dorchester Heights in March of 1776, a decisive strategic maneuver that forced the British evacuation of Boston on March 17, 1776, marking the first major victory for the American cause in the Revolutionary War. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of this pivotal event, which is being commemorated with large-scale celebrations and historic reenactments across New York and Massachusetts, organized by dedicated groups, including Revolution 250 and America 250. And whereas these commemorative events, running from the kickoff at Fort Ticonderoga, New York, on December 5th, 2025, through Evacuation Day on March 17th, 2026 in South Boston, serve to educate the public about Knox and his incredible journey. Henry Knox and his noble train will process in Framingham Center, followed by an event in Village Hall on Sunday, February 8th. And now, therefore, as mayor and the city council of the city of Framingham, do hereby proclaim February 8th, 2026, as the Henry Knox Noble Train of Artillery 250th anniversary in the city of Framingham, encouraging all residents to explore the history of the Knox Trail and participate in the celebrations honoring this turning point in the nation's history. And this is signed by Charlie Sositsky, the mayor, all the members of the city council, and Drake May, of all things. So, you want to come up and go Pats. You guys all-
Thank you so much, Mayor Sositsky. I'm Bob Allison. I have the great honor of co-chairing Revolution 250 and helping Jonathan out when I can. I am an historian, and this has been really a spectacular turnout. I mean, this event here in Framingham and the way the city of Framingham and the Framingham History Center have come together with various folks in the community to commemorate this is really inspiring. And I also, for many years, was president of the South Boston Historical Society, and I want to invite everyone to Dorchester Heights on March 17th. And also want to tell the members of the General Court who are here that if it were a state holiday, people would not have to take a day off from work. So that should be on our agenda. Now, Conventures prepared a short video which tells the story of Henry Knox and Evacuation Day. I know by now many of us know it, but it always bears repeating. So now we will watch a video telling the story of Henry Knox and the noble train of artillery. The year is 1775. For more than a decade, the people of Massachusetts have endured new taxes, restrictions, and the heavy hand of imperial rule. Pushed too far by the Tea Act, they dumped 3 shiploads of tea into Boston Harbor. In retaliation, the Crown closed the port and suspended the colony's government. Massachusetts refused to bend. The people appointed a provincial Congress which collected taxes, passed laws, and stockpiled arms to defend their rights. Alarmed, Governor Thomas Gage sent redcoats to seize these supplies. One expedition marched toward Concord and met fierce resistance. As the king's soldiers retreated, thousands of militiamen surrounded Boston, trapping Gage and his army by nightfall on April 19th. With Boston under siege, the Continental Congress rallied to the cause. They formed a Continental Army under a Virginian named George Washington. But before Washington arrived, the fighting grew bloodier still. British troops stormed the fortified slope of Breed's Hill in Charlestown. They gained the ground, but at a staggering cost, suffering more casualties than in any other battle of the Revolution. When Washington reached Boston weeks later, he was dismayed. The camp was disorderly, the soldiers ragged, and the army short on powder. Worse still, his artillery was too small to threaten the British fleet or break the siege. He needed bigger guns, many bigger guns. Luckily, fortune had just dealt him a card. Far to the northwest, Ethan Allen and Benedict Arnold had captured Fort Ticonderoga. Inside its walls were scores of heavy cannon, exactly what Washington required. The problem? They were 300 miles away, and winter was closing in fast. Washington soon found a man he could trust, a 25-year-old Boston bookseller named Henry Knox. During the siege, Knox turned his book learning into action, building fortifications at Roxburgh. Washington admired his energy and his easy way of leading men. He urged Congress to commission Knox as a colonel of artillery, but in the meantime gave him money, letters of introduction, and a daunting assignment: bring back the great guns from Fort Ticonderoga, 300 miles away. Knox reached the fort in early December and found more than 60 pieces of artillery, cannon, howitzers, and mortars. He loaded them onto boats for the trip down Lake George, then onto sleds bound for Albany. Snow came quickly, sometimes deep enough to stall the teams after only a mile or two. On the evening before crossing thinly frozen rivers, Knox had holes drilled into the ice to strengthen it overnight, then attached sealed barrels to the heaviest guns to mark the spot if they crashed through. Knox wrote to Washington of the noble train of artillery he was delivering. Day after day, Knox coaxed men leading 80 teams of horses and oxen through drifts and mountains, hauling guns that weighed more than a ton apiece. Progress was slow, but he pressed on with cheer and determination, writing to Washington that the difficulties were inconceivable, yet surmountable. Crossing the Hudson in January near Albany, he turned east toward the Berkshires. He hired extra oxen for the steep descents to keep sleds from sliding into ravines. In Westfield, townsfolk celebrated his arrival, providing gunpowder to fire one of the great mortars. In mid-January, Knox reached Springfield, where New York teamsters returned home. Now Massachusetts crews took over the load. At last, in Framingham, the cannon barrels were mounted on their carriages. There, on their way to Congress, John Adams and Elbridge Gerry stopped to marvel at Knox's fall, the weapons that would soon ring Boston and tip the balance of the siege. Leaving the train of artillery in Framingham, Henry Knox hurried to Cambridge to report to General Washington. Overjoyed at Knox's success, Washington, on the spot, gave the young bookseller his long-awaited commission as a colonel of artillery. Within a year after the stunning American victory at Trenton, Knox would rise again, becoming a brigadier general in command of the entire Continental Artillery. But for now, the cannon had to be put to use. The British still controlled Boston, and the Charlestown Peninsula, lost at Bunker Hill, could not be retaken. Yet to the south lay Dorchester Heights, overlooking both Boston and the harbor filled with British ships. If the Americans could seize those heights and mount Knox's great guns, they could force the British out. 1,200 men moved silently into position on the night of March 4th, 1776. Using pre-assembled fortifications, they worked through the dark, and by morning, Dorchester Heights bristled with Knox's cannon. From that high ground, Washington could bombard the city and sweep the shipping lanes. British Commander William Howe, who had replaced Gage the year before, planned an immediate assault, but a violent storm scattered his troops and forced him to abandon the attack. Recognizing his untenable position, General Howe chose evacuation. Better to withdraw than risk disaster against an entrenched American force armed with heavy artillery. On March 17, 1776, a fleet of more than 100 vessels carried 11,000 soldiers, loyalists, and their families out of Boston's harbor. Knox's hard-won artillery had done its job and drove the British out of his beloved Boston with hardly a shot fired. For General Washington, it was the first great triumph of his fledgling Continental Army. The Congress struck a gold medal in his honor, the first gold medal ever authorized by the United States. For Henry Knox, the success confirmed his place as one of Washington's most trusted officers. For the people of Massachusetts, it was Liberation Day. They had endured blockade, hardship, fire, and death. But now the redcoats were gone. The day would be remembered ever after as Evacuation Day.
The militia units from Massachusetts that surrounded Boston were made up of men from the towns. Every man between 16 and 60 was required to serve in the militia, and every man. And one of the stories sometimes overlooked is that the militia units composed men of white, black, Native American. And if you go to the back of the room, the Framingham Historical Center has the muster roll from Framingham, and fifth from the bottom, you'll see the name of Peter Salem, who served at Lexington and Concord, Bunker Hill, and then on into the war. And in fact, the Army would remain integrated until the end of the Revolution, and then would not be integrated again, although black men served, until the Korean War. We're honored to have with us today, representing Salem Poor, another veteran of the Revolution, Antoine Ross, who has come to present as Salem Poor. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So, my name is Salem Poor. I was born in 1747 from Andover, Massachusetts. I was enslaved by John Poor Sr. and was able to purchase my freedom a few years later from his son, John Jr., for 27 pounds. When the war broke out, I enlisted in Captain Benjamin Ames's company of Colonel Fry's regiment, and we served at the assault at Breed's Hill. While at Breed's Hill, myself and Peter Salem there defended the redoubts along with our other men and with the ship's bombardment. I tried to steady my fellows among me, and when the British attacked, we beat them back twice. But ammunition was running low, and we couldn't hold back the last assault. A British officer jumped on the rampart, and I had my last round in my Fowler. So I took a quick aim, because it was a very short time, and I fired at him, and I struck him. I don't know if I killed him or not, but I knocked him back. Then the order came that we withdrew. I hear tell that some of the officers, about 14 of them, wanted to give me some kind of reward. They said that I acted like an officer on the field, setting the line and extorting my men around me to fight back. I was just doing my duty, what I felt anyone else would do. I don't recall if I got any kind of reward. I don't think I did, but I was glad to serve. And afterwards, we went on to the New York campaign, then into quarters. I didn't see anything in Trenton. I wasn't there at Trenton, but I was at Valley Forge, and then at Saratoga, and then switched over to the militia to be discharged in 1780. Lived my life, the remainder of my life, in Boston. Thank you.
And now I want to invite from Framingham, Representative Danielle Gregoire.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Danielle Gregoire. I have the honor and privilege of representing two of the communities through which Henry Knox and the Noble Train passed during the war, both Marlborough and Framingham. And it really is a privilege to be with you all today. And I want to thank everyone who's had a hand in organizing these amazing events. So much work goes into this. And it really is a tribute to the people who put all this work on, that so many folks came out today in the cold. And I don't know if you know this, but there is a little something going on a little later this afternoon. So I just want to express my gratitude to the organizers and everyone here. And I do want to say, we say a lot in the Massachusetts House of Representatives that Massachusetts invented America. And I was reminded by a colleague this morning that we here in Massachusetts were the boots on the ground, and in Philadelphia, they just did the paperwork, right? So these celebrations have come at an appropriate time in our history, and I think it's more important and critical now than ever that we realize what our nation came through to become the nation that we are today. And with that, I'll conclude by saying that I hope that the patience and perseverance of Knox and his men also carries through to the Patriots of 2026 as they take on the Seattle Seahawks tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gregoire. And now also from Framingham, Jack Lewis. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out to join us today. Happy to join so many of my local colleagues. I also have colleagues who have come a little further afield. I want to thank Jeff Roy of Franklin and Sean Garbely, who is the chair of the Joint Committee on Tourism? Tourism, excellent. Who's had the great honor of participating in how many of these so far? A lot, okay. More than 5? Okay, all of them. But no, it is a great honor to be here with all of you. We have a lot to celebrate this year as a country, and I know Massachusetts, as my colleague said, has an important and vital part to celebrate in that struggle. I think it's also important that all of us, as we celebrate what happened 250 years ago, make sure that we keep our eyes wide open of the complexities of history. There will definitely be those, and it's already happening, that are urging us to see what happened 250 years ago through a very, very narrow lens. And I think we deserve, and our descendants and those who came before us deserve, that we keep our eyes open and prevent the whitewashing of history. This is a Freedom and justice for all meant a lot to the people who lived in Framingham and surrounding communities and all the colonies 250 years ago, but it didn't hit home for everyone in the same way. And so I hope to join you all in the larger country this year, and not only celebrating this important 250th anniversary, but also the ongoing struggle for freedom and justice for all. Thank you.
And Representative Priscilla Souza. Representative Souza.
Thank you all so much. As you can see, I'm decided if it was appropriate to be a patriot today. It truly is an honor to be here to be here celebrating. I don't know if you can tell by the everything about me, but I wasn't born in this country. But my journey to public service did start with a love for American history, and I'm so thankful that my parents chose to bring me to Massachusetts when we first moved here, where we are so rich in history. And more than that, rich in the spirit, the resilient spirit that has made us all fall in love with this country. It is Henry Knox. It is, and we see it peppered throughout. It is where others would have failed. The American spirit will succeed, and it will continue, and it will improvise, and it will do what is necessary. And to draw on what my colleagues have said, it's what history is demanding of us now, and that'll look differently for all of us, but may Henry Knox's spirit be with us as history demands us to stand up for each other, to do what is right, to remember what is right when we are told otherwise. But truly, it is amazing, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much.
Representative Kate Donahue.
I'll just do it this way. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I particularly want to thank the organizers for all of the work that they've done. I have the honor of representing 3 of the communities through which the Knox Trail passed. So I took part in the ceremony a week ago, recognizing Northborough, and today I'm very honored to be here representing both Southborough and Framingham. I grew up in the Boston area. My parents were from Dorchester, and towards Mr. Allison's point, my dad did have Evacuation Day as a legal holiday. And he worked for a very generous company. And my parents explained to me, and we visited Dorchester Heights, which was in the area where I grew up. And I learned about the significance of the British leaving Boston, and that it was not St. Patrick's Day that we were celebrating, but it was actually Evacuation Day. We celebrate both in my family, as you might guess. But I did want to say, in these troubling times that we live in, that we see the model of what citizen activism can do. And I encourage everybody to be active in the issues in which they believe. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much. And now I will invite Mayor Szyszewski to say a few more words. Yes. So what we are going to do now is present to each of the towns along the trail a citation from the governor as well as a plaque. And in the interest of time, we will read one of the citations, and my colleague Sheila Green from the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism and Representative Garbali, who chairs the committee, will make the presentation, and each of the citations says, "On behalf of the residents of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of the semi-quincentennial anniversary of Henry Knox's journey through New York and Massachusetts, known as the Noble Train of Artillery. We honor you for your role in this endeavor, as it was one of many acts of service and sacrifice in the cause of independence. This 8th day of February in the year 2026, Maura T. Healy, Governor, Kimberly Driscoll, Lieutenant Governor, and this is to the town of Framingham." City of Framingham, you will have to take that up with the governor.
On her birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have a plaque too.
Thank you very much.
You want me to hold the way you talk?
I don't think I have anything to say at this
Okay,
point.
then you're good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor Sisitsky. And now from the town of Wayland, Carol Martin, who chairs the Wayland Select Board. So you can say a few words.
A little bit confused what I was supposed to do here, but give it a shot.
Okay.
Get up. I like your trick here. I got to figure out how to do it. Good afternoon, everybody. Honored guests, all 250 celebration committees, representatives. I also want to make a special couple shout outs here because I am from Wayland, to Mary Antis, who has spearheaded and is the chair of Wayland's 250th committee. I've done an incredible amount of events, very exciting, very educational for the residents. And also that I am joined today by my fellow board member, select board member Tom Fay, who is on the committee. So would like Tom to come up and help me receive the plaque because it looks really heavy. It is truly an honor in my capacity, by the way, as a Framingham native, to live in Wayland and to represent Wayland as a select board member. And also to be here today as we commemorate the incredible feat of Colonel Henry Knox and his noble men. Everyone seems to have had a little levity today, so I'm going to join them. When I was in junior high school, the kid that lived next door to me and I, Saturday nights, we were ferried to Town Village Hall, right here, and where we took ballroom dancing lessons. We would come up these stairs to this hallowed room. And so I have to also say it was very majestic and commanding then, as it is now, overlooking the village green. And it is truly a fitting location to celebrate what Henry Knox accomplished 250 years ago. I don't know about you, but when I was 25 years old, I wasn't thinking about taking on a Herculean task and that I had no experience for. And assisting a boss I just met a month ago, going 300 miles, and then once I got someplace, having to bring back 120,000 pounds of artillery. I think I was more interested in happy hour, but anyway. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one in this room who would think that is an awe and really has to think twice about the magnitude and be grateful to Henry Knox and what he and his noble men accomplished. So on behalf of the town of Wayland, I and Tom humbly and graciously accept this plaque.
Thank you. And from the town of Marlborough, John Gately. City of Marlborough, my apologies. Framingham was a town? Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you, John.
Okay, thanks. I had no idea I was going to be here today until 2 days ago, so I think I will just tell you a couple of things that are coming up in Marlborough. We've done a lot in the last year. We have a Henry Knox Park right in the middle of town. They all say the same thing. Henry Knox passed through this place. We still don't know where that place was exactly, but we spent 3 months and we think we figured it out. how he got here down to probably Edgell Road and then up to the Common. Coming up, we have, for the first time in Marlborough, a Revolutionary War, a veterans marker that's going to be in Henry Knox Park. It's actually called Bartlett Park, but it's in the center of town. We spent the last year trying to find out how many of our residents died during the war. That includes Prince Dima, who was Henry Barnes's enslaved portraitist. I gave a tour last week to 36 people from Hingham who came just to look at Henry Barnes's house, because they have two of only three paintings by an enslaved portraitist from the colonial period, and they have two of them, the portraits of Henry Barnes and Christian Barnes, his wife. So in 2-degree weather, I marched them all the way down Main Street to show them where the house used to be. So we are doing tours. But in the Knox Park, we're going to finalize on Tuesday night what names are going to go on the dead of the Revolutionary War from Marlborough. It's very hard to figure out because we found one guy by accident. I was reading a pension paper from the Revolutionary War, and the pensioner mentioned that this is in 1829, he's writing his pension paper, and he says, back in 1774, I was in the militia, and we practiced on the Common downtown, and my two best friends were Ephraim Barber, who was a grandfather clockmaker back in those days, and the other one was Moses Roberts, who was killed at White Plains. We had never heard of him. He's not listed in the genealogies or anything like that. We think his family probably came to town. He was the only child. He died, and they moved on probably. So that we have, at this point, 15 people will be on the monument. It'll go right next to the Henry Knox marker, right behind it. And there will also be a replica 6-pounder British cannon in that park also. So that's pretty much what we're doing. During the year, we'll have in some of the newspapers around here other things we're going to do. We do exhibits at the library of very rare Revolutionary War documents. Last year we had I don't know if you know about the Peter Force Declaration of Independence. We have a copy of that we're going to bring back this year. We have manuscript letters from the Siege of Boston. We have the Watertown edition of the Declaration of War and things like that. Those will be in April, May, and June, and they'll be heavily advertised. They'll be at the library 3 days for each month. Last year we had 300 people, and they all can't wait to come back. And we really appreciate this honor, I guess. And I think I'm one of 2 people from the Historical Society and the Historical Commission who know about this, so I'm sending out pictures of it tonight. So thank you very much.
And from Southborough, Kevin Miller, who chairs the Southborough Historical Commission.
I've got a paper, but trust me, it'll be short. I can't believe the turnout. I mean, this is really absolutely fantastic. All of you here, and it's what's special to me about this is that it's towns getting together for us to remember together. Because sometimes it feels like we're doing our own little things in our own little world. So this is a really, for me, I'm humbled to be here representing Southborough. And I want to thank Revolution 250 for, this is a fabulously put together, documented, organized, and run event. I'm really blown away by it. Framingham History Center, Metro West Visitors Bureau, the reenactors who were just fabulous. The horses were great. It was all really wonderful. And so on behalf of the Southborough Historical Commission, which is what I represent, we're the town government, organization, the select board, and most importantly, all the citizens of Southborough. I'm very honored to accept this fabulous looking plaque. And we, by the way, plan to display this in a place of great prominence in the townhouse. So that everybody who comes down to do business in Southborough can have a look at it. The only other thing I'd like to say I'd like to play the fife out of here on my way, but I can't do it, is to invite everybody who's in this room to an event that I'm happy to say I just completed the organizing of yesterday afternoon. And so I'm happy to announce here to invite you on March 15th, which is 2 days before Evacuation Day, that the Southborough Historical Commission is going to be in cooperation with the Southborough Historical Society, which is the private 501(c) history and arts organization in Southborough. We're going to be presenting a talk by Ben Haley, whose day job is with the Massachusetts Historical Commission, where he is the National Registry Director. He's going to be giving a talk at the newly opened Southborough History and Arts Center at Fayetteville Village Hall, again on Sunday. This will be March 15th at 2 p.m. So same time, a couple weeks from now, a month, less than four and a half miles away from here, due west, 42 Central Street in Southborough at, again, Fayetteville Village Hall. And the Ben's talk is titled Commemorating Henry Knox and the Noble Train of Artillery in the Automobile Age. And he's described that, saying that despite, dedicated effort, this goes to what Mr. Gately was just talking about, that in spite of efforts to find Knox's route, what the 1920s Knox Commission ended up marking was not exactly that precisely, but rather what the chairman described then as a new Knox Trail catering to automobiles. And the story of that and why the markers were erected where they were is largely unknown. There was a good piece actually in the Globe in December about efforts to locate precisely where the trail passed in Western Mass. But Ben's talk is going to sort of address that. And it's a very interesting topic for us all to think about how, a seminal event of the 18th century was then remembered in the early 20th century owing to the influence of the age of the automobile. And so I think it'll be a very interesting talk, and I assume that everybody in this room is keenly interested in the subject. So all of y'all, please come out to Southborough and see this wonderful new History and Arts Center. And by the way, the Southborough Historical Society, which is hosting us for this event, is keeping open their opening art exhibit, which was 4 wonderful local artists in the long gallery on the first floor. The second floor is in a way much like this room, and that's where the talk will be held. But you get a 2-for-1 if you show up on the 15th, because you get to see some wonderful art on the first floor, see this wonderful new facility, and then hear Ben Haley's talk. So with that, thank you for your indulgence, and thanks for the clap.
Awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you. Both Kevin and John in their remarks remind us that history isn't something that belongs to historians. And it's not something that was set in stone 100, 200 years ago. It's something we're always discovering. And it really is up to each of us, whether you will have the privilege of being a professional historian or whether you're just an interested person, to share this story and to research this story. And an opportunity like this to bring in people who aren't. We think it's just a few of us, but there are many more people excited about history. And the real spark this year is to excite new generations so that 50 years, 75 years, this story will still be being told, and we'll have events like this in spaces like this. So this has been a real privilege to work on. And to close our program, I want to invite Mary Tedesco, who is the state regent of the Daughters of the American Revolution, to make a few appropriate remarks. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Professor Allison. Good afternoon, Framingham. On behalf of the Massachusetts Daughters of the American Revolution, it is a pleasure to be here in Framingham as we commemorate the 250th anniversary of Henry Knox's historic journey of the noble train of artillery from Fort Ticonderoga to Cambridge. The Massachusetts Daughters of the American Revolution stand together in unity as descendants of patriots to honor this important milestone in our history. As descendants of those who secured our freedom, we carry a special responsibility to honor their sacrifice, preserve their stories, and ensure this legacy is remembered and understood for future generations. Through remembrance, education, and service, we keep their spirit alive and perpetuate it for generations to come. 250 years ago, this land witnessed an extraordinary moment in our nation's founding. Through very harsh weather conditions like we experienced over the weekend, Henry Knox and his team persisted, overcoming immense challenges to transport the artillery through New York and across Massachusetts, an achievement that helped turn the tide of the Revolutionary War. Today, we honor that enduring legacy. We thank Jonathan Lane and all the team at a Revolution 250 for the opportunity to take part in this meaningful commemoration as we reaffirm our commitment to this history for generations to come. On behalf of the Massachusetts Daughters of the American Revolution and our local chapter, the Framingham chapter, we invite you to learn more about DAR membership at dar.org/join. May the Henry Knox Trail continue to inspire patriotism, service, and unity. And of course, especially for today, let's go Patriots. Thank you.
So my mother, who was a town official for many years on the South Shore of Massachusetts, always said, make sure you get the last word. So here I am. First and foremost, before we do the drawing, I'm going to ask everybody with a plaque to come on up so we can get one group picture with everybody. And Henry, can you bring up the Lindstock, please? And let's do that real quick while I shuffle the tickets around. Everybody get your tickets out. You want to just line them up over here? Yep. Yeah, I'll hold that. Dustin, I'll hold that. Thank you, guys. You want me to hold this up? No, sorry. I think we're good there. Can we get it back?
Again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. All right. Thank you all for attending. We have another event at the end of the month in Cambridge, and of course, event first weekend in March in Roxbury. March 17th, be there at Evacuation Day. Thank you for your time and attention today. Make sure to check out the exhibits in the back. They have some amazing stuff, not mentioning the quilt, which is brilliant. So thank you all.